welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're all very well, and I hope you're all ready for a really long video. This is a book haul, and I took February off, so I've got 28 books to show you here. This, my friends, that's half of them. There's more over here. Books that I've bought, books that I've requested from the publisher, or the publishers approached me and said, would I like a copy? Books that the publishers sent me, unsolicited, I believe is the word. But yeah, unsolicited, but still excited. Should we start with the publisher unsolicited ones? What I will say, guys, you might want to go and stop and get yourself a cup of tea, because I think we are going to be here quite a long time. But if you like books and you like new books that are coming out, then you're going to have a lovely time. Right, should we start with the unsolicited one? So yeah, unsolicited books from publishers are books that are sent to me when the publisher hasn't got in touch to say, would you like this? Sometimes they don't match my reading taste at all. Sometimes I think, oh yeah, no, good idea, yeah, glad you sent that to me. As is the case with these ones here. So the first one, first of all, was exciting because I got sent with it Aurelia honey, some Spanish forest honey, specially curated this honey is, and I got a honey aubergine recipe with this, and this goes along with the book Milkteeth by Jessica Andrews, which is out on the 21st of July. And let me tell you what this is about. A young woman struggles against a toxic culture of body shame and questions if she's worthy of love as she travels between the northeast of England, Paris and Barcelona. Jessica Andrews has also written Saltwater, which is a book that I'm familiar with. It's got very sort of, the front cover I remember very vividly. And yeah, there we go. So that's the first one. So that's exciting. And with honey as well. Honey, honey, how he thrills me, etc. Next up was Hannah Gold. This is the second in the Hannah Gold series, and I've left it like this because it's lovely. I should have taken the press release out, really. You can see the front cover. So Hannah Gold previously released a book called The Last Bear, I think it was, and this is The Lost Whale. It's covered in a lovely little ribbon that says Save Our Oceans. Let's get rid of the press release. And this is out in March 2022. It may already be out. Yeah, and this is from the same author that did The Last Bear. It said, you fell in love with Hannah's bear, now meet her whale in a story as powerful and spellbinding as the ocean itself. So these are middle grade books that have a focus on climate change and yeah, things like that. This is a lovely proof, isn't it, with that gorgeous golden whale on the front. So yeah, very exciting to read that. I think the finished copies also have illustrations in them as well. Always hang on to a ribbon. Next up was The Last White Rose by, she is super famous, why can't I remember her name? Where is it? Alison Ware, who writes quite a lot of these historical fiction books. And this is out on the 12th of May. And this says, born into a war between two families, she dreams of a crown to call her own. Now she must choose her allies wisely. And it's all about Elizabeth of York. Now, as I said, I know she writes a lot of these historical fiction books. Well, no, because it's not historical fiction. I guess it's sort of like fictionalised history. Is that a genre? Have I invented one? And I know she does a lot of these about women in history. So I got onto my library because I thought, and if you've watched my library haul recently, you'll see me talking about this. I was certain, oh God, this is taking some time, sorry guys. It's right at the bottom, of course it is. Come here. I was certain she did a series about the Six Wives of Henry VIII. Now, you all know that I love the musical Six. In fact, I've just been listening to it now. And actually, I even shed a little tear. This is how, like, I get very emotional about things. Because the cast that I've seen 3 times now, I saw them last June and then in January twice, they've swapped over and there's a new UK touring cast. And I've just watched a clip of them, the cast that I knew, singing their last sort of show and how emotional they all were, and it made me feel emotional. So yeah, there we go. But so I went to the library and put a request on for the first one, Catherine of Aragon, the True Queen. This is the 6 Tudor Queens series. So yeah, in receiving this, unsolicited but not unwanted, I thought, oh, I'll read that as well. But yeah, maybe if I enjoy, because I'll read the 6 Tudor Queens ones first, and if I enjoy them, then yeah, we'll move on to this as well. And then I've got both, this one's from Tinder Press. This is These Bodies of Water by Sabrina Mahfouz, and these are notes on the British Empire, the Middle East, and where we meet. So Sabrina Mahfouz once sat in a Whitehall interview room and was interrogated about everything from her political leanings to her private life. It was ostensibly had trouble saying that word, a job interview, but implicit in their demands was the unspoken question, as a woman of Middle Eastern heritage, could she really be trusted? Years later, Sabrina found herself confronting the meaning behind this interrogation, how it was specifically informed by these British historical dominants in the Middle East. These Bodies of Water investigates this history through the Middle Eastern coastlines and waterways that were so vital to the empire's hold. Interwoven with her own personal experiences, Sabrina combines history, politics, myth and poetry in a devastating examination of this unacknowledged part of Britain's colonial past. Doesn't that sound amazing? So it's non-fiction, and yeah, just sort of a non-fiction sort of look at a period of history, but then to interweave it with things like poetry, and I love it when like modern sort of women's experience. Sounds fantastic. So yeah, very excited about that. And then I've got an Olive Grove in Ends by Moses Mackenzie, and this is out on the 28th of April. Oh, I didn't say when that was out. That's out on the 12th of May. This says, Sion Hughes, a young black man from Bristol, dreams of a world far removed from the one in which he was raised, far removed from the torn slips outside the bookies, the burnt spoons and the crooked solutions his community embraces, most of all removed from the Christianity of his uncaring parents and the prejudice of law enforcers. Growing up, Sion found respite from the chaos of his environment in... God, I can't speak. Respite from the chaos of his environment in the love and loyalty of his brother-in-arms, Cuba, in the example of his cousin Hakim, a man once known as the most infamous drug dealer in their neighbourhood, now a... Ooh, this is a word I've not seen before. Proselytising Muslim. I haven't got my phone, otherwise I'd find out what... If someone knows what proselytising is, let me know down below. And in the tenderness of his girl Shona, whose own sense of purpose galvanises Sion's. In return, Sion wants to give the people he loves the world. A house atop a grand hill in the most affluent area of the city, a home in which they can forever find joy and safety. But after an altercation in which a boy is killed, Sion finds his loyalties torn and his dreams of a better life imperilled. My God, that sounds brilliant, doesn't it? Yeah, and Moses Mackenzie, the author, is of Caribbean descent and grew up in Bristol, where he still lives and writes full time. And this is a debut. So there we go. Lovely proof again. Look at the, it's sort of like tie-dye almost, and look, this olive tree spans the whole 2 pages. Lovely. I love a bit of book design. Right, should we move on to, let's get this side dealt with, then we'll move on to this side. Let's have a sip of the old tea. I recommend you sip yours as well. So these are 5 books that I've bought this month. Now, you would have seen I've been very hyped about the Women's Prize for Fiction, and in my reaction video I talked about wanting to buy some of them, and I've put library reservations on. I've got some on audio. A lot of my library reservations haven't come on, but I bought 4 that I wanted to read. These are the 4 that I bought. So I bought Careless by Kirsty Capes. These next 4 are all on the Women's Prize long list. Fearless, Motherless and Careless at 3:04 on a hot, sticky day in June. Bess finds out she's pregnant. She could tell her social worker Henry, but he's useless. She could tell her foster mother Lisa, but she won't understand. She really ought to tell Boy, but she hasn't spoken to him in weeks. Bess knows more than anyone that love doesn't come without conditions, but this isn't a love story. So there we go. That's published by Orion Books. Then I also bought The Bread the Devil Need by Lisa Allen Agostini. Alethea Lopez is about to turn 40. Fashionable, feisty and fiercely independent, she manages a boutique in the Port of Spain. But behind closed doors, she's covering up bruises from her abusive partner and seeking solace in an affair with her boss. When she witnesses a woman murdered by a jealous lover, the reality of her own future comes a little too close to home. Bringing us her truth in an arresting, unsparing Trinidadian voice, Alethea unravels memories repressed since childhood and begins to understand the person she has become. Her next step is to decide the woman she wants to be. So yeah, that also sounds amazing. I feel like I'm going to be saying, that sounds amazing. Oh, that sounds amazing. Then I've got Salt Lick by Lulu Allison. Probably my favourite of the covers of all of the Women's Prize long list. This looks like it's done on sort of like screen printing, and also just the addition of this little star and moon either side of Lulu Allison's name. This is published by Unbound, which is sort of like a crowd-funded sort of publisher, so exciting that that's made it to the long list. Britain is awash, the sea creeps into the land, brambles and forest swamp derelict towns. Food production has moved overseas and people are forced to move to the cities for work. The countryside is empty. A chorus, the herd voice of feral cows, wander this newly wild land, watching over changing times, speaking with love and exasperation. Jesse and his puppy, Mr. Malix, roam the wood until his family are forced to leave for London. Lee runs from the terrible restrictions of the white town where he grew up. Again, I need to learn how to say this name. Isolde, or Isolde, Isolde. I will find out how to say that name for future videos. I actually said I would find out how to read to say it when I did my reactions video, so Bad me. Leaves London on foot, walking the abandoned A12 in search of the truth about her mother. So yeah, a sort of climate change novel, and there is a voice in here from a herd of cows. So very, very exciting. Looking forward to that. And then the last one I bought was Creatures of Passage by Maroa Yadije. And this is Nephis Kinwell is a taxi driver of sorts in Washington, D.C., ferrying ill-fated passengers in a haunted 1967 Plymouth Belvedere with a ghost in the trunk. Endless rides and alcohol help her manage her grief over the death of her twin brother Osiris, who was murdered and dumped in the Anacostia River. When the novel opens in 1977, her 10-year-old estranged great-nephew Dash finds himself drawn to the banks of that very same river. It is there that Dash, reeling from having witnessed an act of molestation at his school but still questioning what and who he saw, has charmed conversations with a mysterious figure he calls the Riverman, who somehow appears each time he goes there. When Dash arrives unexpectedly at Nephis's door one day, bearing a cryptic note about his unusual conversations with the Riverman, Nephis must face both the family she abandoned and what frightens her most when she looks in the mirror. That sounds great, doesn't it? So yeah, that's exciting too. And then the last one is one that I bought from the charity desk at my work. Sometimes you get some absolute corkers on the charity desk at my work. As you may well remember, I got The Appeal there for 50p. But more recently, I've got Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukafka. And this was £1. And I've heard lots of hype about it. First of all, I saw that it was Waterstone's book of the month for, maybe not this month, maybe last month, but the What Page Are You On pod girls have absolutely loved this. Ansel Packer is scheduled to die in 12 hours. He knows what he's done and now awaits the same fate he forced on those girls years ago. Ansel doesn't want to die, he wants to be celebrated, understood. But this is not his story. As the clock ticks down, 3 women uncover the history of a tragedy and the long shadow it casts. Lavender, Ansel's mother, is a 17-year-old girl pushed to desperation. Hazel, twin sister to his wife, is forced to watch helplessly as the relationship threatens to devour them all. And Safi, the detective hot on his trail, is devoted to bringing bad men to justice but struggling to see her own life clearly. This is the story of the women left behind. Doesn't that sound great? It's a sort of like thrillery type thing. Yeah, I'm well up for that. So those are the ones I've bought. Time for another mouthful of drink. Should we move on to these ones that have been requested or sent to me by the publisher after they've contacted me? This has got a hell of a lot of exciting things in it as well. So let's start with the ones that I received today in the post. This is actually going to go straight on my TBR for the month because it's by an Irish author. This is Hearts and Bones, Love Songs for Late Youth by Niamh Mulvey. This isn't out until June 2022, and it says here, I hope you don't mind me reading all of these blurbs, but when it's like proofs and I don't have much of an idea of what they're about, I think it's nice to read the blurbs together and then people can have an idea of what's going on. Better than I'd be able to explain to you than reading that and then blurbing it out to you. A young woman learns to wield her power, leaving casualties in her wake, while a man from a small town finds solace in a strange new hobby. A watchful child feels a breaking point approach as her mother struggles to keep her life on track, and another daughter steps on stage while her family and the audience hope that she is strong enough now to take on the world. First-time lovers make mistakes, brothers and sisters try to forgive one another, and parents struggle and fail and struggle again. Teenage souls are swayed by euphoric faith in a higher power and then by devotion to desire. I'm slipping down the chair. And then by devotion to desire, trapped between different notions of what might be true. Quiet revolutions happen in living rooms, on riverbanks, in packed pubs and empty churches, and years later we wondered why we ever did the things we did. Set between Ireland and London in the first 2 decades of this millennium, the stories in Hearts and Bones, all his stories, Niamh Mulvey's debut collection, look at the changes that have brought through these times and asked who we are now that we've brought the old gods down. So there we go. Very exciting. So yeah, like I said, that's going straight on my TBR for the Irish Readathon. Oh, the Alexa's talking to me. Right, where can I put that where I won't forget? There. Then we've got Debut, which I imagine a lot of people are very excited about. This is The House of Fortune by Jessie Burton, and this is the sequel to The Miniaturist. The Miniaturist came out a long time ago because I remember when I started BookTube, the paperback, a lot of people were hauling the paperback when I started it, or reading the paperback. I have read The Miniaturist and I don't really remember much about it. So I say I don't really remember much about it. It's set in Amsterdam, isn't it? And it's about a woman who maybe has been is in a marriage that I don't know if she this is me just remembering and sort of remembering a marriage that maybe she didn't pick for herself, and she gets a doll's house, doesn't she, and she buys like miniatures that go into it, or like makes miniatures that go into it. It's been a long time since I've read it. I'm going to listen to the audiobook of it to remind myself of it and then move on to this sequel, which says here In the golden city of Amsterdam in 1705, Thea Brandt is turning 18 and is ready to welcome adulthood with open arms. The love of her life awaits her at the theatre, but at home all is not well. Her father Otto and Aunt Nella argue endlessly, and the family are selling their furniture in order to eat. On Thea's birthday, also the day that her mother Marin dies, the secrets from the past begin to overwhelm the present. Should have said spoiler, because I think the miniaturist is about Marin. So she dies at the end. Nella is desperate to save the family and find Thea a husband who will guarantee her future. When they receive an invitation to Amsterdam's most exclusive ball, she is overjoyed. Perhaps this will set their fortunes straight. And indeed, the ball does set things spinning. New figures appear, promising new futures. But when Nella feels a strange prickling sensation on the back of her neck, she remembers the miniaturist who entered her life and toyed with her fortune 18 years ago. Perhaps now she is returned for her. There we go. Yeah, that's exciting. That's out in July this year. God, where am I going to put these? Right, let's have a bit of my tea and put that over there. It's like a Jenga tower. This one I am so excited about. So I've been thinking about like tarot cards. I've got a lovely piece of artwork up here that says The Lovers on it, which is like a tarot card, and like how much I would like to sort of get into that a bit. Maybe I've seen quite a few people that I follow on Instagram are into it and things like that. And this book has come out, Wildcard, Let the Tarot Tell Your Story by Jen Cowney and Fiona Lensfeldt. And this is about tarot cards. In Wildcard, friends and entirely non-psychic tarot readers, Jen Cowney and Fiona Lensfeldt, introduce you to the tarot and how to use it to explore your own story. In this beautifully illustrated guide, Jen and Fiona talk you through the meanings of each card, drawing on personal experience as well as references to history, literature and popular culture that have shaped their understanding of the deck, while encouraging you to bring your own imagination and instincts to your readings. With chapters on the things the authors wish they'd known when they'd started out, tips on tackling some of the trickier cards, suggestions for spreads and advice about how context can affect your interpretations, this book invites anyone and everyone who's curious about the tarot, which I am, to give it a try. It is perfect for complete beginners as well as more experienced readers who want to refresh their practice. And this is out on the 28th of April. And I love this front cover. This is just gorgeous. It's going to have a lot of, so for example, Three of Cups, which is one of the cards that I've heard about. Three of Cups represents, so the keywords are friendship, relationships in a broad sense, collaboration, good times and celebrations, dislocation, overindulgence and hedonism. And there's going to be sort of like illustrations. This is the proof copy, obviously. Oh, they've got some illustrations. So the Five of Wands, there's an illustration there. But yeah, this Three of Swords, this is going to be absolutely perfect for me, because recently I saw that there was a magazine that had come out where you get you know, like when I was younger, you get magazines that come out where you can sort of subscribe to them, and the first one's like 99p and the second one's 2.99, and then from then on, well, back in my day they used to be 4.99. Well, there's been a few come out recently that our local co-op have had in them. The tarot card one isn't one of them, but the Marvel one is, and the first one's 1.99. You get like a Marvel sort of comic book, maybe not even a comic book, it's like a hardcover book, and then the next one's 2.99, and then after that they go up to 9.99, and there's going to be something like 90 like editions of this, so that's like 900 quid. Yeah, that's 900 quid. Imagine. So that's how they get you in. But I saw on the telly that they were doing a tarot one, and I said to David, oh my god, that one looks really good, and like, I saw you got a free deck of tarot cards with the first one. So I sort of, I mean, it's probably been and gone now, but I was tempted to do it because I don't also have a tarot deck of cards. If anyone's got any places that if anyone of you guys is into sort of tarot cards and have ideas of where to get a lovely pack of tarot cards, do let me know. But yeah, this can't have come at a better time. I've been really thinking about this, and then like been seeing it more and more on Instagram and stuff. I'm so excited about that one. So excited. So yeah, I need to get my hands on some tarot cards and just work out what actually is going on. Maybe I'll read the introduction first. We'll see. But yeah, very excited. Then we've got another book I'm excited about. There's a lot of books that I'm excited about. This is The Dance Tree by Kieran Millward Hargrave. This is coming on the 12th of May in 2022. As you may well know, The Mercies by Kieran Millward Hargrave was one of my favourite books a couple of years ago. That was another one of her adult novels. I think this might even be her second adult novel. Oh, I've got a lovely... This is a lovely postcard with it. This might be her second, yeah, so the only other adult book is The Mercy, so this is her second adult novel. It's got a lovely big blurb on it, so settle in. Strasbourg, 1518. In the midst of a blistering hot summer, a lone woman begins to dance in the city square. She dances for days without pause or rest, and soon she is joined by hundreds of others. Just beyond the city's limits, pregnant Lisbeth lives with her mother-in-law and husband, tending the bees that are their livelihood. And then, as the dancing play gathers momentum, Lisbeth's sister-in-law, Neth, returns from 7 years' penance in the mountains for a crime no one will name. It is a secret that Lisbeth is determined to uncover. As the city buckles under the beat of 1,000 feet, she finds herself thrust into a dangerous web of deceit and clandestine passion, but she is dancing to a dangerous tune. Doesn't that sound exciting as well? You coming up, Minnie? Do you want to see her? I think I showed you her last time as well. Here she is. Gorgeous little cross girl. Don't hit mummy. That tail's going. She wants to get up on the table. Go on then. Jump! Jump! She did it. Then I've got another book I'm really excited about. This is The Kitchen Front by Jennifer Ryan. How wholesome does this front cover look to you? It's just so wholesome. And I feel like I felt a bit sort of Call the Midwifey about it, because no Call the Midwife till Christmas now, so sad about that. 2 years into the Second World War, and German U-boats are frequently disrupting the UK's supply of food. In an effort to help housewives with food rationing, a BBC radio programme called The Kitchen Front launches a new cooking contest, and the grand prize is a job as the show's first ever female co-host. For young widow Audrey, winning the competition could be the chance to pay off her husband's debts, I'm smiling so much, and keep a roof over her children's heads. However, her estranged sister Gwendolyn is equally set on success, even if her own kitchen maid Nell is competing against her. And then there's Zelda, a London trained chef desperate to succeed in a male-dominated profession and harbouring a secret that will change everything. Doesn't that sound amazing? That just sounds so cosy and wholesome. It says here it comes an unforgettable novel about food, family and friendship inspired by true events. Oh my god, I'm well excited about that. I don't know when that's out. This is a finished copy, so it might well be out already. Yeah, sounds amazing. Then we've got How Beautiful We Were by Imbolo Mbewu. This is a finished copy as well. So this is set in the fictional African village of Kosawa. This is the story of a people living in fear amidst environmental degradation wrought by an American oil company. Pipeline spills have rendered farmlands infertile. Children are dying from drinking toxic water. Promises of clean-up and financial reparations are made and broken. Left with few choices, the people of Kosawa decide to fight back, but it will come at a steep price, one which generation after generation will have to pay. Yeah, sounds amazing. It's a masterful exploration of what happens when the reckless drive for profit coupled with a ghost of colonialism comes up against one community's determination to hold on to its ancestral land and a young woman's willingness to sacrifice everything for the sake of her people's freedom. That sounds amazing too, and that front cover is gorgeous. God, we've got a lot of exciting books coming up, haven't we? And I've got the Women's Prize to... No one else bring any more books out for the rest of the year, because I've got quite enough to be getting on with. Then I've got The Attic Child by Lola J. This isn't out until the 28th of April, and is published by Macmillan. It says in 2016, Lola J visited an exhibition at the National Portrait Gallery where she came across photographs of Njuja Manhali, a young African boy taken from his homeland against his will to be a companion to the explorer Henry Morton Stanley. I will say the word companion has marks around it. Struck by the sadness and strength in Ndugu's eyes, Lola was inspired to write her first epic historical novel, The Attic Child, to explore this overlooked part of Black British history and weave a tale of love and loss, identity and belonging. In researching Ndugu, she uncovered a life that was impacted by trauma and hopelessness and became determined that her fictional reimagining of his story would offer an alternative ending, one of survival, full of love, joy and hope. Oh god, that sounds amazing. Wow. That also sounds amazing, and also another really great front cover. Then I've got two exciting, well, oh God, they're all exciting, aren't they? This one I've seen a lot of hype about. Again, Alice Slater from What Page You On Pod, but also author herself, has mentioned this book. We Had to Remove This Post by Hannah Bervots, and this is a novella out, don't know when it's out, might already be out. To To be a content moderator is to see humanity at its worst, but Kaylee needs money. That's why she takes a job working for a social media platform whose name she isn't allowed to mention. Her task: reviewing offensive videos and pictures, rants and conspiracy theories, and deciding which need to be removed. It's grueling work. Kaylee and her colleagues spend all day watching horrors and hate on their screens, evaluating them with the platform's ever-changing moderating guidelines. Like, this is mad, because this is someone's job. Yet Kaylee is good at her job, and in her colleagues she finds a group of friends, even a new girlfriend. For the first time in her life, Kaylee's future seems bright. But soon the job seems to change them all, shifting their worlds in alarming ways. How long before the moderators' own morals bend and flex under the weight of what they see? There's so many layers to that, isn't there, for such a small book to cover, because what one person finds offensive, another person doesn't. And how do you get a broad spectrum of those people as the people that are removing content that people might or might not find offensive? Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that, and I've heard very, very good things. Then we've got Dance Move. This was out in February. This is a collection of short stories, and again, going on my TBR for this month. Wendy Erskine lives in Belfast. Her fiction and non-fiction has also been published by etc. It doesn't say much about the actual, it just says about Wendy there. So the story, well, let's find out what some of the stories are called then, to get an idea of what we've got involved in here. Mathematics, Mrs. D'Alessandro, Gollum, His Mother, Dance Moves, Gloria and Max, Bildungsroman, Cell, Nostalgia, Memento Mori, and Secrets Bonita Beach, Crystal Cancun. So yeah, that, as I said, that's going on the, that's 2 sets of stories going on the TBR now, because they're Irish writers. Then we've got Theatre of Marvels by Leanne Dillsworth. It's got a copy from Stacey Hall's on the front. Richly evocative and glittering with atmosphere, and I've enjoyed Stacey Hall's writing in the past. Here we go. Unruly crowds descend on Krillik's Variety Theatre. Young actress Zilla is headlining tonight. An author from the slumps of St Giles, her rise to stardom is her ticket out. To be gawped and gazed at is the price she's willing to pay. Rising up the echelons, lovely word to say, of society is everything Zilla has ever dreamed of, but when a new stage act mysteriously disappears, Zilla is haunted by a feeling that something is amiss. Is the woman in danger? Her pursuit of the truth takes her into the underbelly of the city, from the gaslit streets of the dock to the sumptuous parlours of Mayfair. She seeks the help of notorious criminals from her past and finds her head torn between 2 powerful admirers. Caught in a labyrinth of dangerous truths, will she face ruin or will she be the maker of her fate? So it's very immersive, an unforgettable journey across Victorian London in this bold exploration of Gothic spectacle. Don't say Gothic spectacle, you'll get me ever so excited about that. So yeah, there we go. I don't know when it's out. God, that sounds exciting. It's also got a quote from Louise Hare on the back, who wrote This Lovely City, which I very much enjoyed. Exciting! Then we've got a book that I was certain was going to be on the Women's Prize long list. And when it arrived, I couldn't believe that it wasn't on there. When the list came in, I couldn't believe it wasn't on there. That's Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This is about Miri. I do sort of know the plot of this one because I've been excited about it. Miri, whose wife, Leah, has been working on a deep sea mission which sort of ended in catastrophe. And when she comes back, she's not the same woman that she was when she left. And there's themes of, there's mermaids in there and stuff. It's a lovely queer love story. Yeah, I'm excited about that, and we'll be reading it. I say soon, I've got so much to read, but that sounds exciting. This is another one. Oh, the next few, actually, just because of the way I've picked them up, are ones that I thought were going to be on the Women's Prize long list. So I won't go into too much detail because you've probably seen me mention these already. This is Keisha the Sket by Jade LB. I wasn't sure if this, I put this on my predictions, but I wasn't sure if it made it because it is fiction, because there's this is the first time that Jade LB wrote sort of fan fiction, I guess, on a website when she was 13 about this girl, Keisha the Sket. And this is it being visited. It's also published in a really printed in a way where it looks like it's written on the internet in the, wherever it was, 2005. And then in between these sort of excerpts of the fiction that Jade has written, there's also essays in there from Candice Carty-Williams is one person, but other people as well. So yeah, very interesting, and I thought it was going to be on there. It weren't. No, I only got 4 things right. Lauren Groff, The Matrix. This is historical fiction, and it's about 17-year-old Marie, who's too wild for courtly life, is thrown to the dogs one winter morning. Expelled from the royal court to become the prioress of an abbey, Marie is strange, tall, a giantess, her elbows and knees stick out ungainly. And yeah, it's about her life working at the abbey. Born last in a long line of women warriors and crusaders, women who flew across the countryside with their sword fighting and dagger work, Marie decides to chart a bold new course for those she now leads and protects. She will bring herself and her sisters out of the darkness into riches and power. So yeah, sounds amazing. And then also sounds amazing, Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey. This is, again, like, this is fiction, but like sort of like fictionalised parts of the truth, because this is about Inti Flynn arriving at the Scottish Highlands with 14 grey wolves, a traumatised sister and fierce tenacity. And it's about Inti reintroducing wolves to the Scottish Highlands because they used to be native to there and have gradually been driven out or killed. As a biologist, she knows the animals are the best hope for rewilding. That's from the Archers. They always talk about rewilding in the Archers. The ruined landscapes, and she cares little for a local opposition. As a sister, she hopes the remote project will offer her twin, Aggie, a chance to heal from the events that drove them both out of Alaska. But violence dogs their footsteps. That's good, isn't it? Because it's about wolves. And one night, Inti stumbles over the body of a farmer. Unable to accept that her wolves could be responsible, she makes a reckless decision to protect them. But if wolves didn't make the kill, then who did? And can she trust the man she is beginning to love when he becomes a main suspect? Sounds exciting, doesn't it? Page turnery. Then I've got some other books that I've also were for the Women's Prize, and these weren't on my predictions, but I thought they might also make it. And the first one I've got, beautiful front cover, Violets by Alex Hyde. Look at that front cover, it's like a gorgeous, gorgeous painting. A young woman, Violet, lies in a hospital bed in the closing days of World War II. Her pregnancy is over and she is no longer able to conceive. With her husband deployed in Burma and her friends caught up in transitory love affairs, she must find a way to put herself back together. In a small, watchful town in the Welsh Valleys, another Violet contemplates the fate she shares with her unborn child. Unwed and unwanted, an overseas posting offers a temporary way out. Plunged into the heat and disorder of Naples, her body begins to reveal the responsibility it carries, even as she is drawn into the burnished circle of a charismatic new friend. Between these two Violets, sung into being like a babe in a nursery rhyme, a son, as their lives begin to intertwine, a spellbinding story of women's courage emerges, suffused with power, lyricism and beauty from an exhilarating new voice in British fiction. Oh God, I just had a smile on my face the whole time I was reading that. That sounds absolutely amazing. And again, I can't get over this front cover. Gorgeous. Then we got Free Love by Tessa Hadley. And I still haven't read any Tessa Hadley. Oh no, that's not true. I've read The Past. I'm sure I've read The Past. Let's have a look. I'm sure I've read The Past. Yeah, so this is 1967. By the way, I love books sort of set in recent history. When London comes alive with the new youth revolution, the suburban Fisher family seems to belong to an older world of conventional stability. Pretty, dutiful homemaker Phyllis is married to Roger, a devoted father with a career in the Foreign Office. Their children are Colette, a bookish teenager, and Hugh, the golden boy. But when the 20-something son of an old friend pays the Fishers a visit one hot summer evening and kisses Phyllis in the dark garden after dinner, something in her catches fire. Newly awake to the world, Phyllis makes a choice that defies all expectations of her life, of her as a wife and a mother. Nothing in these ordinary lives is so ordinary after all, it turns out. And the family's upheaval mirrors the dramatic transformation of the society around them. This sounds a little bit like, oh my God, what was it called? The book by Emily Atami I read recently. I can see the front cover so perfectly. But yeah, that sort of is a woman and her sort of seemingly perfect home life, which is interrupted by an affair. Also, I love the fact that it's sort of set on a hot, steamy summer night. This might wait until summer. I might read it in summer. But yeah, that sounds great. And then Palmares by Gail Jones, another gorgeous front cover, just absolutely beautiful, like set against those bright colours against that black background, gorgeous. And this is an epic tale of love and liberation set in 17th century Brazil. Palmares hails the return of a major voice in literature, the best American novelist whose name you may not know. Gail Jones was first discovered and edited by Toni Morrison, and her talent was praised by writers including Maya Angelou, James Baldwin and John Updike. So yeah, that's about Gail Jones. But in Palmeres, Gail Jones brings to life a world full of unforgettable characters, reimagining extraordinary historical events and combining them with mythology and magic. The result is a sweeping story spanning a quarter of a century. Wow. So yeah, amazing. From plantation to plantation, Almeida, a young slave girl, hears whispers, rumours of Palmeres, a hidden settlement where fugitive slaves live free. But can this promised land exist, and what price is paid for freedom? And then we've got the last one, which is At Certain Points We Touch by Lauren John Joseph. This was out this month as well. Let's have a look and see what this is about. Have we got a blurb? I don't know if we've got a blurb. It's just a quote on the back. Let's have a look. 10 years since we met, 6 since we last spoke, 4 years since your death. The gap between them and now is bridged by a love story so white hot as to burn my hands, even as I attempt to put it down on paper. Gorgeous. So there we go. I said it would be a long one, didn't I? Thanks if you've made it all the way here. Let me know which of these you feel most excited about. Have you read any of these? Have you got a pre-order in for any of the ones that I've spoken about? Would love to hear from you. How on earth am I going to do that thumbnail holding up these books? I've no idea, but I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye.